The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barbers Chat Network, our great partners at H&B Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack. This like no Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, man? It is your boy Scott. Welcome back to another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. It is Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Happy Black History Month to everybody out there, man. Also, we want to take this time to say RIP to Carl Weathers, man. Apollo Creed, Mandalorian, a whole bunch of classic stuff he's done, man. So definitely RIP to him, and prayers out for all his family out there, man. This is another edition of the show. Y'all know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarbChairScott. Follow the Barbers Chair Network at BarbersChairNet on Twitter and Instagram. Follow H&B Media at H&B Media TV on Twitter and at H&B Media on Instagram, man. And of course, if you want to hear everything we've got at the Barbers Chair Network, including summer sessions, early 79th and Hallis episodes, which are both up right now, and of course get all the segments and clips that I'm Not Gonna Hold You earlier before they hit the YouTube, and of course our overtime, aka the local hour. We talk about all Chicago sports as we record each and after each and every show. You can get that at patreon.com/Barbershop Network. There is the $5 I'm Not Gonna Hold You tier. You can just get all the I'm Not Gonna Hold You stuff. And if you want everything that we have at the Barbershop Network, you can sign up for the $10 Barbershop All Access package, man. We've got a packed show for y'all today. We will have the homie Big Dave from CHGO Bulls coverage. We'll be talking about a little bit of Chicago Bulls later on in the show, man. So at this time, I'm going to bring in my crew. We've got Dante Bang in the house. Courtney is on vacation right now. Mikey is out doing some things right now, so they will be back next week. Definitely look out for that. So how y'all doing, man?
I'm solid, man. Just really trying to get a hold of this whole Swiftie thing. I was really rocking with Harry Styles' album until I realized he was one of Taylor Swift's exes, so we can't rock with bro no more. But other than that, we here. If you feel me, what's good?
I'm doing good, man. How about you, man? I know they had you working after
Oh, yeah, man. When the news of Carl Weathers come down, you got to shut it down, fam. You got to make sure that the team is getting it up on all sites and social and all of that stuff. So I went into work mode, and I'm up here trying to get somebody a job. All that happened at one time.
All that happened at one time. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. B Dot says, as a new listener of something such as I love this. You know what? Fuck you, B Dot. B Dot trying to be funny. We say in the fucking description, we are the world's most inconsistent podcast. But as all things are looking, we will be doing back-to-back shows on Tuesday. So fuck you, B Dot. Anyway, we are here, man. We got decent amount of stuff to get into, man. So let's just start off with my sound off, which really isn't even a sound off today. Today it is an announcement. Today in the announcement here in the sound off, man, we've got a sponsor. We got an official sponsor this time, man. We've got Pillars Club Chicago, man. They're the biggest clothing line in the city, man. They will be sponsoring the show starting on Monday, man. And we're gonna have a special segment every Monday called All We Live, and it will be with me and the homie Mike. Of course, if y'all know him, you follow him at Please Say the Baby on all social media platforms. He is the founder and owner of Pillars, so he'll be joining us each and every Monday to talk some shit about sports. And he is also my longtime friend. The only friend I've had longer than him is Pappy. I've known Pappy so long. I don't even know what year I met that nigga. I think it was 1998, but it might have been 97. But me and Mike, I've known Mike for 21 years together. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a great businessman, great clothing line. Of course, you see I got the hoodie on, I got the hat on. Everybody's been singing everywhere. Yeah. Hey, I text him about it. And so okay. when he's on here on Monday, you can press him about it.
See that, Dante?
By the way, I've been had this. I didn't just get this recently. I've been had this. But when he comes to show on Monday, y'all can press him about y'all swag pack that has not come. But he will be here. There's 4 stores. So let's just play the ad that will be rolling on each and every show. Before we start the show, we want to thank our sponsors, Pillars. Pillars is the best clothing line in the Chicagoland area. If you're looking for a dope hoodie, a sweatsuit, shirts, shoes, or even stuff for your kids, Pillars is where you should go. You can visit any of their 4 store locations in the Chicagoland area or visit pillarsclub.co and order online.
See, I got the product placement right there. Look, see that? See that pillow right there?
Yeah.
I can just put a Pillars pillow right there.
Yes, B-Dot, they do have a store. It is pillarsclub.co. You can get all your stuff on that website, man. So big shout out to Pillars. Big shout out to Mike. Big shout out to Dukes. Big shout out to Dre. Said everybody, all the gang over there at Pillars, man. If you're in Chicago, you need to go to one of their 4 stores, either in Orland Mall, Chicago Ridge Mall, West Loop, 87th Street, a whole bunch of stuff. So Mike will be joining us on Friday. Definitely look forward to that one, man. So let's get into our first topic of the day, man. This one, you can actually you have to put me on solo mode here. We gonna everybody gonna talk about this one. So I'm going to give y'all a glimpse into our group chat here on I'm not gonna hold you.
I'm serious. Man, it's been a long ass day. I thought you was
it's time.
It's time, my brother.
It's time, brother. Step to the front.
My brother. Step to the podium.
Let me go get my. I was not prepared, but let me get prepared.
I told y'all. I said in the group chat yesterday, today, or again. We starting the show with this. This nigga thought I was joking, but anyway, Caleb Mania has arrived. Caleb Mania has arrived here in Chicago. I say here in Chicago. I'm not in Chicago, but in Chicago. Caleb Mania has arrived, really just nationally, not even just Chicago. And I've known Bane for how long we know each other, G? About 12 years now? I think I've known Bane for about 12. Yeah. I think first time I came to Windy City Underground by 2011, 2012.
Yeah, it's about 12.
Yeah, when Pappy said if he didn't make it by 30, he was going to kill himself. Yes. Pappy is 33 now, and he's still living, thank God. So obviously, that did not happen. But me and Bang, in my time now, I've known Bang, we've had our spirited debates for sure. And one thing about Bang do the same thing my brother do. He's not gonna let the shit let go. Like, you can say I'm done with the conversation. He gonna keep.
Oh no, that's your ass. I was done.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah, I was like, Scott gonna hit you with it. And another thing, like, 72 hours later, nigga came back with 6 links. He said,
Scott. Set it up. Go ahead and set it up because I was done. I didn't know where it was coming from.
The reason I can't.
Y'all gonna look at us crazy as hell when y'all find out the person we was arguing about. Y'all gonna be like, yo, y'all was tripping.
So it started like this. So I do that, but usually I don't see the chat, and then I come back and I remember and then I remember I said this shit too. But I said in the chat multiple times, that's how I took it. And Bane kept sending me link after link after link. Nah, nigga, you want me to send this too?
I'm gonna explain why.
Like, because the same shit my brother do. My brother do the same thing. The difference is Bane talk to you like you stupid. My brother talk to me like I have no IQ. Like, my brother talk to you like he is the smartest nigga walking this earth. He like, but that doesn't mean it. Do you know what the definition of the word that you just said is? And he'll get all PhD on me. So that's the difference. So really, the argument started with this. Shout out to Lawrence Holmes, 670 to score. I watch him and what's my man Dan Bernstein show. I watch the clips they put up all the time. I fuck with that show.
I'm already tired, yo.
And, and so the topic was basically don't be listening to draft experts because they will send niggas off, which is not, I do not disagree. Now, the argument started of how I took it. So the way that Lawrence Holmes framed the conversation, how I heard it, was that he was basically saying that we can't listen to all these people saying that Caleb is generational because these niggas said that DeShone Kizer was going to be the first quarterback off the board in 2017. Now, I followed the 2017 draft like I followed my life. Like I did. You couldn't tell me that we wasn't getting Deshaun Watson that day. Like Mitchell Trubisky started coming on towards the end. Now he named 3 or 4 analysts who had DeShone Kizer on. I think it was Daniel Jeremiah, it was Todd McShay, Mel Kiper, and no, it was only them 4 niggas. It was them 4 niggas.
I sent you more than them though.
I don't remember them 4. I just remember the 4 from them, and that's why I kept saying you sending the same 4 niggas. I don't remember DeShone Kizer being as hyped as people say he was. So then Bane kept sending me these links, and I was like, okay, but I took it as the way Lawrence came off clickbaity to me. I'm disagreeing with what his point was, but it came off as in, oh, I know that niggas really wasn't live on Kizer like that, but I'm gonna say it for the the clicks. And Bang was just like, nah, that's how it was, and that's how the spirited debate started over DeShone goddamn Kizer. Good.
Now, y'all. All I'm saying is this. What Lawrence Holmes said to me was straight gospel because that's what everybody needs to understand. I kept telling Scott, I'm not talking about us because we are educated fans. But there are people, and Scott knows this, because I'm also the nigga that be telling Scott to stop arguing with 300 followers or less Twitter. Because 300 followers or less Twitter will look at all of these draft analysts and will regurgitate what they say like they are gospel. I remember that 2017 draft. Reason why I remember it is because that was the first time that I can ever remember us having a top 3 pick. And I remember vividly, this is again, like I had said in the group chat, before the combine. Before the combine, everybody in this bitch was like, man, DeShone Kizer out of Notre Dame, he might be that one. He might be that one. They wasn't talking about Pat, and rightfully so, because I've said on this program here that niggas thought that Pat Mahomes was going to be an offensive coordinator right now. He's 28. They thought he was going to be an offensive coordinator and a possible head coach because nobody from that Texas Tech program, that air raid, makes it. It was DeShone Kizer, Mitchell Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, and every damn analyst, even some locally, was like, DeShone Kizer. Hell, the link that I sent you with Todd McShay, the first sentence from Todd McShay was, I only seen like 3 tapes of dude ass. But from what I see, all I was saying is, as far as Lawrence Holmes, right. All I was saying with what Lawrence Holmes said was pre-combine, he's right. And this is more or less, even when we first started having conversations around Caleb Williams, we were all irritated by the word generational. It's the buzzword. And we still are. It's the buzzword. It keeps people going. It makes all of us Chicago Bears fans go and look like, oh man, this dude can really be. But what happens between the end of the college football season and before the combine, you get all of these draft experts who, especially after the college season, who barely watch the game, are only going to go on ESPN highlights, a couple of social clips, and they're going to be like, yo, this person's going to be it. That's why I've always said I'm really going to wait until after the combine and pro days before I really get excited. Because if DeShone Kizer would have had a decent combine and pro day, he would not have gotten drafted where he got drafted. It would have been earlier, especially in that 2017 draft. So all I was trying to show you was technically he right. Because all them niggas was like Deshaun Kaiser, and we were like, oh no, hell no, him. Because we seen Notre Dame games. And we know Buddy ass was tough. But because Notre Dame is Notre Dame, and in Notre Dame's eyes, they had a halfway decent quarterback that had good size, a cannon for my arm, and all of that stuff. Before the combine, niggas was swinging off of his nuts like he was number one or number two. Combine happened. Them niggas was like, oh yeah, we made a mistake. What about the Trubisky? And hell, I even showed you the video of Mel Kiper say that this nigga's success his first year was gonna be minimal. He dismissed it. So to me, and I understood I understood how you took it. That's why I was saying how you took it. I understood that. But what I was saying was technically this nigga right. And before the combine, we really gotta watch how we celebrate these quarterbacks, whether they still end up generational or not. Because what end up happening is we get 300, 500 or less Twitter who when you say, I ain't fucking with Caleb Williams like that. And all of a sudden, man, Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, Todd McShay, they was on ESPN. He's like, all of those people start regurgitating shit and not really paying attention. They probably wasn't even watching when their games were on. Because you said that, I forgot it. I don't know if it was you or Mikey, but some nigga had Bo Nix as the number one pick in the draft. And I was like, this nigga smoking crack.
That definitely sounds like a Mikey 6 a.m. Pacific group chat solution.
Right. But I'm not saying you were wrong in how you took it. All I was saying is technically he's right. If anything, that draft is the anomaly. That draft is nobody was really the consensus. Everybody was the small, short person. But then once the combine came, while it was still questions, the two niggas they no longer had questions about was Kaiser and Peterman. But it's also wild because the person that they talked about the least end up being quite possibly the greatest quarterback of all time when it's said and done. Nobody, I remember when the nigga was drafted, and I remember us arguing, and I remember saying, hey man, niggas out of Texas Tech become offensive coordinators. Like, go look at Major Applewhite. Like, go look at all them niggas. Like, go look at his coach, Cliff Kingsbury. This nigga was cold at Texas Tech. That nigga wasn't shitting in the NFL. That nigga became an offensive coordinator at like 24 years old in college.
New Raiders offensive coordinator too.
Right. And he and Pat Mahomes is the anomaly of even Texas Tech quarterbacks. Because ain't nobody looked at a Texas Tech quarterback before or after that nigga.
And I just want for the people, this is why when you have text disagreements, you can't, it's hard to tell. You might miss a text. You're like, oh, I didn't know you said that and things like that. And I just want to put everybody out there. Anybody who knows me personally knows I'm extremely hard-headed. I am the most stubborn nigga.
Yes,
maybe walking this earth.
Yes.
Sometimes I will know I'm wrong, and I will double down on the fact that I'm wrong.
I'm glad.
I will no longer care about what point you're throwing. It doesn't matter how correct you are. This has worked very well for me in relationships with women, but we're not here to debate that, talk about that on this show. But to me also, oh, y'all know him. Speaking of my guy Mike, who runs Pillars and be on Monday. I remember one time we had an argument in his car. We was like in college. I forgot what the fuck I said. This nigga stopped the car. He was like, "You the most stubborn motherfucker walking this earth." Like, it don't matter. Niggas can throw all the facts in your face, and you gonna be like, "Nah, that's not what I think." You know what I'm saying? You know, that's really what it is. Shout out to Keith. He said, I vividly remember being at the Bears draft party in Soldier Field 2010. As soon as they announced Mr. Biscuit, all you heard was Al. So I'm gonna tell you a story even about that. Since we don't have too many topics today, we can expand a little bit longer today. I'm gonna tell you a story about that. So I knew about Mr. Trubisky, but I didn't know how serious that the Bears were about taking him till literally 48 hours before. And there was two people who told me. It was Bang and it was our guy Sean Davis. Sean went even further. And Bang, you know this from arguments we have with Sean. Sean really don't let up. Like Sean make you mad as hell. Like Sean really don't let up.
So Sean have you in this bitch sweating.
I was like, I was working at Amazon. I was working at Amazon Studios at the time, and I kept leaving my office. Like, not caring about what meetings we had. I kept leaving my office, and like not just leaving my office, closing my office, turning the light off, and going to like one of them, you know, one of the meeting booths. I kept going to the meeting booth, refreshing Twitter, because I just couldn't focus. And then Bang was like, "Nah, I'm thinking they're gonna draft Mitch." And then Sean kept saying, "I was like, man, why we're not Deshaun Watson?" I wasn't thinking about Patrick Mahomes. Like the only reason I'm mad or say they passed up on Patrick Mahomes is because we know the Bears said that Ryan Pace said if Mitch wasn't there, then we're gonna go Patrick Mahomes, which means you had an evaluation of this nigga and you got it wrong. So that's why I was mad about that. And then I'll never forget. So I stayed at work. So I got off work at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So you know, like usually the draft starts about 30 minutes after they usually actually scheduled to start. I was like, man, I'm in Santa Monica. There's no way I'm getting to Culver City in after work traffic in 30 minutes. So I'm staying at work. So I stayed in my office for like an hour to watch the draft. And when they said, I stayed off Twitter, I didn't want to see the fucking pick announced on Twitter. And when they said Mitchell Trubisky, I felt like my body like collapsed. Like I just felt like nothing in me. So I stood in my office. I sat in my office for about 30 minutes with the lights off. Mind you, lights is off. So any janitors or any of my co-workers who stayed later and they saw that, they're probably like, something wrong with this nigga. So I got up and I was heading back home. My brother called me. He's like, yo, we got to do a pod. We got to do 79,000. I'm like, man, fuck a pod, nigga. I'm doing no fucking pod. These niggas draft some motherfucking Mr. Trubisky. And so I'm damn near like on the verge of tears, my nigga. Like I'm that invested. This is peak fan era, Scott. You know what I'm saying? Like peak fan era. And I got home. I dropped my bag off. Now, for people who live in Los Angeles or been in Los Angeles, I was on Cadillac Boulevard. I walked all the way down to fucking Pico, nigga. It's about a 1.5 mile walk. And I just walked. I was just pissed. I just had to get out of me. And I came home and I did that podcast. That's how angry I was that day. So it's like with this everything going on, Caleb Mania really officially popping off, and it's gonna get worse. And that kind of leads me to the Colin Cowherd thing that happened last night. So there's going to be a lot of clickbaity moments over these next 6 to 8 weeks. And as Bang likes to say, content is king. And we have this debate also in the group chat. Content, things that are content and things that we just not paying attention to. Now we'll throw a lot of links in there, shit we want to use for the show. But then I'll be like, in my free time, I don't want to read that shit because I don't want to think about media shit right now. I'm gonna think with my fan head right now. Like I don't want to hear that shit. So I feel like I'm the one nigga that's telling Bears fans it's okay to actually jump in the water. You know what I'm saying? Though the water is safe now. And everybody's like, nah, nigga, I know there's some bottles up in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm telling people, come on. Like you trying to tell a baby you can walk. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, ain't nothing gonna happen. I'm gonna catch you. That's what I'm telling the Bears fans. So Colin Cowherd went up there and basically said that, you know, why would Caleb want to go to Chicago? Caleb in his camp don't want to go to Chicago. You know, the commander go get him. And I knew it was bullshit from the jump just because, number one, and this is no disrespect to Colin Cowherd. He gets paid, $6 million a year. Obviously, he's good at his job. I'm not saying that. But there are actual YouTube videos of like 30 minutes of Colin getting shit wrong. And the way he said it, which I always say, when you see clicks or headlines, read the article or listen to the video. I know I'm asking for a lot in today's headline is true society. I get that. But it just sounded like he was just, just speculation. Like, I don't really know that. And I didn't take it seriously also because of what Ian Rappaport said when the day that Caleb declared. He's looking forward to be one to own whatever team drafts him. So then 6'7" to score. Danny Parkins and them, they hyped this bitch up to the point where Parkins is like having a complete meltdown, thinking about the possibility of him. Like he was melting down live on air. Like it was
that
like
nigga
you could
looked
tell
like he was about to cry.
Yeah, this was not no media shit. This was an actual inner Bears fan freaking out. Like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like this. Now just like it just didn't make any sense. So and then Colin Cowherd, Caleb's family, Caleb's daddy called him like, yo, nigga, we ain't say that shit. Like, check them. Like, look, we're not anti-Chicago. We are cool with Chicago. And then on top of that, shout out to Aaron Fleming. He said the same thing. And then Ian Rappaport liked the tweet of his original tweet from when Caleb Williams declared. And then he responded to Aaron Fleming and said, why would he hate Chicago? It's a great city. They've got a new foundation. They're building stuff. They ended the year right. They could have won 10 games. Woo. So as this conversation we've been having with Bang and with Dante about, trying to get rid of the way the Bears used to run and maybe having the possibility that maybe this is the new Bears. It's kind of like I feel like a lot of Bears fans have been clashing. I want to give it to Dante first because he hasn't really said much yet about what you think about the Colin thing and just like any kind of hesitation that Bears fans may have of jumping all the way in the deep end.
As for Colin, Colin is great at one thing, riling people up. This is the same man who tried to shit on John Wall and talked about his father because the man liked to do the Dougie before he came on the court. Like, Colin has been doing this for years, and he's great at it. That's why he gets paid $6 million a year, because he knows what he's doing. He said that with not a source in fucking sight, but he knew once he said that because of the history. And that's the thing. People can sell you some bullshit when they tie some truth to it. So everything he said about the Bears was very true. We've never developed a quarterback. We've never had a great quarterback. Jay Cutler is the best quarterback in franchise history, so that says a lot. But at the same time, everything he was saying was strictly speculation and him trying to connect the dots. Like, we've been doing this really since LeBron left Cleveland. But now every time it's a superstar athlete, we love to have that, going home story. Everybody always brings that shit up. When in reality, when you talk to most athletes, they say, bro, I don't want to play at home. I got 1,000 ticket requests every fucking game. I got people who I haven't talked to in years coming out the woodwork saying, hey, bro, welcome home. Let me get this. Let me get that. So that's all Colin was. But as far as Caleb, Bears fans, listen to me. I've come on here for weeks and told you how I feel about Justin Fields. It's over. It's done. Embrace it. Accept it. Not only, I'm not just saying that because, I want to move on from Justin. The reality is we're in an amazing position. You have the opportunity to draft someone who has been heralded as generational since he was 14 years old. This is somebody they've been saying he's going to be a first-round pick, a Heisman Trophy winner. It's time to be realistic about it. Like, as much as I think Justin can succeed, as much as we want to harp on how, they fed him a raw deal. They didn't build an offensive staff around him. We've been saying this for years. The business side matters, and they're going to go after their guy. And so now Poles is in a position where, I just built this amazing offensive staff, but am I really going to take this amazing offensive staff I just built and put it on the guy that's been here for 3 years when I can go out with the number 1 pick and get an extremely talented player that's compared to another extremely talented player that I helped scout? So when you're in this position, last year, I'm not going to say we got lucky because, CJ Stroud and all of that, even though I don't think we just flat out skipped him. But you're at a point now, Ryan Poles is risking his job by passing on Caleb Williams. Like, he could potentially lose his job if he goes another year where you pass on the number 1 pick and the quarterback comes out and he's the guy while your quarterback is still trying to figure it out. So Caleb, it's a matter of time, bro. Like I said, we threw the Drake mate shit out there, and that's just typical Bears PTSD, and it makes sense. I wouldn't either, but at the same time, I'm at the point now where it's Caleb. When you hear everybody outside of Chicago talk about this, they say, bro, this is a no-brainer. You get what you can for Justin, you maximize that, and you go get a quarterback. You go get the guy.
But see, this is why I'm not making no true decisions until the combine is over. Because, as I said before, the combine is going to tell it all. And the combine is not just what you do in the shorts. and throwing around is what you do in those meetings. And I'm not ruling anything out because you don't want to say right now, don't draft me. You ain't even talked to these niggas yet. Caleb might talk to the Bears, have these meetings, and be like, so these niggas really don't got no plan. Said Huff, I know I worked with Shane before, but no, I don't trust these niggas with my career. And then say it. Or he might be like, yo, nah, this is the shit for me. I can really own this city. We don't know. And we're not gonna know too much of that until after the combine. That's gonna tell it all. Right now, we in content is king mode. We're in everybody got to take. Everybody wants to say something, and everybody wants to do that. And I am already over that. I might love Justin, but I already said it's common. I was one of the first to say, no, it's common sense. Because money-wise,
and Mikey honestly were the first one. It took me and Dante a while to
right. Because common sense-wise,
I'm still not there 100%.
Yeah, he's still not that 100%.
You still holding on to that final.
The money situation with the Bears, you could go get him, trade Justin, and you could go upgrade your team a bit more on the defensive side and still draft people. I just believe that it ain't all set in stone with Caleb. I still believe Caleb can pull an Eli Manning and say, nah, I'm straight. But again, we're talking after season over, after college season over, it's Super Bowl time. It's the week before the Super Bowl. So we already know ain't shit going on. So it's going to be a lot of conversations there. But once we get to the end of the month, once we get to the combine, once he gets on the scale, once we get the height measurements and all of that stuff, once he gets on the NFL Network and have a conversation with Rich Eisen, and Rich Eisen say, man, so what do you think about the Bears being the number one pick? And if he don't say, I'm telling y'all now, if he don't say, oh, man, I welcome the chance of becoming the quarterback of Chicago Bears. It's a legacy franchise. You know, I have a chance to do great things in Chicago. I heard the food is great. Downtown is lovely. If he don't say that, all of y'all niggas is going to be like this. So do he really want to come in? Do he really want to come in? And then all them niggas on sports radio going to be like, so he never said that he wanted to come. And then that's going to start this shit all over again. I don't want to hear that shit.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that's a hint of Bears PTSD. Do I think that they haven't legally spoken to Caleb Williams. I don't buy it. They haven't spoken to Caleb Williams at all. Like,
it's not.
I feel that.
I can tell you, Scott, I can tell you, it's not it's not Bears PTSD. It's not, because I don't really have Bears PTSD when it comes to this, because we've never had the number one pick in this way. Like, we had the number one pick and we traded it. I've never lived in a situation where the Bears have the number one pick and can pick the legit best player available in this situation. What I'm saying is, but I'm not talking about my PTSD. I'm talking about all these other niggas' PTSD. When he don't say anything, then they're gonna be on sports radio and they're gonna be like,
I be real with you. I don't think he will. Be real with you. I don't think he will. I don't think that's how Caleb and his pops roll. I'm not expecting for him to. I love these leverage. Yeah, I think he's gonna play the field. That's what I personally think.
Yeah, and this is my thing, because we talked about it in the chat when I said I'm 97% in on the Caleb thing. My only 3% is holding out for an extremely desperate team to see him light it up at this pro day and say, hey, bro, we'll give y'all 3 first-round picks and a starter. Like, that's it. Other than that, I think Cole, I'm in a position where I can do that. But that's the only other way I see this going, other than Caleb Williams being the number one pick.
And we'll talk about the Godfather offer in overtime. That's going to be part of the overtime rundown on Patreon. But I will say this, and then we'll move on. I I don't want to sound like I'm drinking the Ryan Poles Kool-Aid, pause too much. But like I just feel like that he knows this shit already. Like this is something where it's not like if we could talk about Drake, man, things like that. It's not really a debate on who the number one guy is in this. I feel like he's done his research. They've had his number one pick for about a month and a half now. He's been doing his research. I don't believe, he went to LA. He came to LA. He was doing his research. I feel like there was any type of nervousness or whatever from the Williams camp that would have been out there. And also on top of that, it took Caleb Williams a long time to actually declare. Remember, his father said we're still trying to get things in order. So that part of the press release where he says we're open to anything wouldn't have been in there if there was any type of, shakiness. And they've known that the Bears were probably going to have the number one draft pick for a long time. And I think that I'm not saying y'all too. I think the overall thing that from people who don't follow the team or national media heads, they keep bringing up stuff that the Bears used to do, or they don't develop quarterbacks. And even the thing with Justin got stuck in between regimes. So I'm going to move that to the side real quick. How many quarterbacks have the Bears had that were actually skilled in the way that the Caleb Williams is that they ruined? So I feel like there needs to be a little asterisk with that conversation. That's what I'm saying. Like they haven't. It's also the first time they've had the number one draft pick, like in this position, like ever. So that's why, like, not to say that I disagree.
Like since like the beginning of the NFL, like
yeah, like I'm not saying people disagree because but I'm just saying maybe, and this is maybe just my optimism speak. That could be it too. Maybe this is just a new era of the Bears. One thing we've seen since Ryan Poles here, he's calculated and like he's made some mistakes, obviously, but this 2 years in, he's had more hits than misses. And then even we talk about like presentation, or when we know when Caleb on the record talks to Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren, those niggas are great interview type niggas. So like their presentation will be good. Now, whether they follow up or not is a different deal, but this is also not this is not the average rookie situation. He's coming into a situation with a team that already has a number one wide receiver. Usually you see these teams, like remember a quarterback like Josh Allen who took 4 years to like get better. You know what I'm saying? They needed to get him receiver. When you needed Jalen Hurts to get better, they went to go get AJ Brown. That shit's already here. This is going to be probably the best situation we've seen for a rookie in a long time. So even then, like, why would you want to go? And like you said, a lot of players don't want to go home. Why would he want to go DC? There's a reason that Ben Johnson didn't go to DC. I don't think that Daniel Snyder stank is off that organization.
I can say this. I can say this from my DC group chat from a lot of people that are in the industry and are around a lot of people. They had already told me, like when the season started, he don't want to go back to the crib. He don't want to go to the crib. He'd rather stay out west before he go back to, the DMV. So
and that's that too. And we'll be talking about this a lot. That's just my thing. My advice to Bears fans is don't believe everything you hear over these next 2 months. And we're gonna learn a lot from doing the combine. I haven't been to the combine, but what I heard from the combine from Rich Eisen, shout out my man Lotto. They said that's gossip central. NFL combo is basically, girl, let me tell you, in NFL form.
Yes.
That's it.
Fam,
all the dirt.
Yeah. I ain't never been to the combine either.
But the stories I've heard.
I know people who've been to the combine. I probably could finesse a trip to the combine because one of my markets is Indianapolis, and I know our sports station is going to be there. But yes, it is phone. It is phone, like the party, the party club?
They drink, they drink a lot.
It's that shit. Oh man.
But this is also why I feel like that talk is really just going to intensify because you're already starting to hear it at the fucking Senior Bowl. Now, granted, Senior Bowl isn't the level of the combine, but you still have GMs there. And from shout out all the Chicago Bears media who actually there. Shout my man Nicholas Mariano, everybody out there. They keep saying, from the word of my mouth, they're like, it's not a fucking decision. Like it's starting to heat up more and more. And yes, there's going to be roadblocks to the actual destination. Nobody in Chicago is going to breathe anything until April 25th, 2024. And Roger Goodell goes on that motherfucking podium and he says, number one pick in the NFL draft, Chicago Bears select quarterback Caleb Williams from the University of Southern California. Nobody's going to exhale until that. Even when the Justin Fields trades happen. And I believe that happening right either during the combine or maybe as soon as the private jet leaves the Indianapolis airport, that Justin Fields is going to be gone. Even that don't mean anything, because then it's going to be like, well, does that mean that they're going to take Caleb? So it's going to be a long 2 months. As a media guy, I love it because it gives us content. Shit, we just talked for 35 minutes about this shit. But as a sports fan and a nigga that hate clickbait shit, it's going to drive me up a fucking wall. It's going to drive me up a fucking wall. Because we all know, I believe this is going to end with Caleb Williams being the quarterback of the Bears. And on top of that, I have cleared out my schedule for that entire week because I will be at the fucking introductory press conference. I have cleared out my schedule. I'm going to draft for 1 day, and I'm driving back to Chicago from Detroit after that. That's what I got on that, man. We'll talk about a lot more of this in the local hour. We'll talk about Justin's trade value, their guy theory, and everything like that, man. We will be joined by Big Dave of CHGO to talk about some Chicago Bulls in about 20 minutes. But let's talk about a team we just talked about, kind of like a nice little smooth transition. The Washington Commanders have hired their new head coach, Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. He used to be head coach of the Atlanta Falcons when they went to the Super Bowl, obviously the 28-3 fiasco. Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. But this is after we heard last week that it was pretty much a done deal that Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson was going to be the next head coach. It's pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered. Then we get breaking news earlier this week that he's staying in Detroit, and he gave the bullshit, I want to bring a ring to Detroit, which nobody buys. That's just PR talking. Nobody loves Detroit that much, nigga. And then we got Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator in Houston, is also staying. So it's kind of like a two-part question. We're going to put two topics in one. I'm going to go to Dante first because you seen Dan Quinn firsthand. One, do you feel like that the Commanders settled in this particular situation? And what do you think about Dan Quinn getting a second chance? You on mute, brother.
No, I don't think they settled at all. As a matter of fact, I think they came up. Dan Quinn is a good coach. Let's be crystal clear. Dan Quinn's biggest mistake was that when Kyle Shanahan left, he hired Steve Sarkisian for the offense. That's where he fucked up and things went left. And they never got that replacement in line for Matt Ryan. But Dan Quinn is a good head coach, bro. And I think the Washington Commanders did a really good job. I think as far as those guys who decided to stay put, I feel like during those meetings, they may have asked questions about, hey, I understand we at number 2, but I want Caleb Williams. What's the possibility of us moving up to number 1? And they may have not gotten the answer that they wanted. And so with that being said, they said, okay, I'm going to just stay here. Because you look at two guys where Slowick is in the situation where he has CJ. And he can stay there, develop him, and then wait for a better situation. And Ben Johnson is in the point in D.C. where, as much as we love Dan Quinn, the head coach in Detroit,
Dan Campbell.
That's just Dan Campbell. That situation is set where you know how the NFL is. We talk about this year-to-year shit. If he does something else foolish and he pulls and he ends up like Staley, even though I don't see that happening next year, either way, if I'm Ben Johnson, I'm in a place where I can bounce to a better situation, or I can stay here and see how this turns out. So for both of them, it made sense to stay if you went into these interviews and you didn't really hear what you wanted to hear, especially with Seattle, if you don't want to tie yourself to Geno Smith, you know what I'm saying, in that situation. So I think when you really look at the Commanders again, like I said, they didn't settle. I think Dan Quinn is a really good coach, and he has the ability to put a really good staff together. So I think that'll be decent for them. Obviously, I don't think he was their number 1 choice, but when you got guys like Harbaugh and everybody who goes off the board, I think, this really more than anything shows us that a lot of people aren't really checking for Bill Belichick. That was somebody who we, looked at for this position and thought, damn, that might make sense. New ownership group, they want to make a splash, but they said, nah, they didn't. I don't think they even interviewed Belichick, but I think they, as far as settling for Dan Quinn, Dan Quinn is a good head coach, and that's going to be somebody that I think can provide a lot of stability, which is something that new ownership is definitely looking for, especially with everything, like you said, that Snyder stink is still on the franchise. And so you're going to need somebody to keep them on the straight and narrow to get there. And I think DQ is good for that.
Yeah, I think too, the stink is still on. It's going to take the stink a minute to get off. Who's the general manager? This is a new general manager name. Is it Kevin?
Adam Peters.
Adam Peters and the Magic Johnson, everything Magic Johnson touches turns to gold. So I do think the stink will be taken off soon, but not right now. And I think that's got something to do with it. And I think that honestly, there was rumors about Ben Johnson wanting $15 million a year. Maybe that wasn't there. I thought that was. I don't have a problem with anybody stating their number, no matter how asinine the number might be. I would not pay that to a nigga that's never been a head coach before. Like, I'm not giving $15 million to nobody who's not established. And I think unless it's somebody like Jim Harbaugh, who we talk about in a minute. And by the way, we still have not gotten the actual contract numbers for Jim Harbaugh, which actually tells me that shit is probably asinine, how much money he got. But I think it's that. And also, I think it's also he thinks there might be some better jobs available. Like, we keep talking about Matt Eberflus, and we'll talk about this in the local hour. Like, if Matt Eberflus falls on his face this year, you're going to have a pick of the litter from him or somebody else. It might be a different opportunity. And if you're the offensive coordinator who actually wins the Detroit Lions a championship, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna get a higher amount of money. And then also you said if something does go bad, and maybe Dan Campbell is on the outs, because I think there's a very thin line between Dan Campbell and Matt Eberflus. I know that's a hot take, but both of them niggas have very questionable fourth quarter execution. Dan Campbell just gets away with it. So that's why I think that is right there too. And I do think that in general, what we're starting to see is assistants valuing organizations. These two are in good organizations. Ben Johnson is with a new good organization. It's not the same old Lions. The Texans are a good organization now. So it's like, why would I go to one of these first places just to get a coaching job, and I continue to build my portfolio up over here and get a better job and get more money? That's pretty much what I got from that. And as far as Dan Quinn, I don't think that Dan Quinn is a bad coach. And remember, we had this debate a couple of years ago, Dante, when we was talking about maybe Dan Quinn being a coach of the Bears. And at that time, he was not for it. He was like, I'm not rocking with Dan Quinn being coach of the Bears.
That franchise,
so I don't,
no sir.
Yeah. So I was like, I never had a problem with it. I think that everybody should at least get a second chance. But I do think they settle in the aspect that this is not who they originally wanted. This is like, you know what I'm saying, you being the last nigga being picked in fucking dodgeball. Like, that's exactly who Dan Quinn to me is in the situation. But I do think, depending on who they draft the number 2 pick, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Drake May, that he'll have an opportunity to succeed, and at least he'll have an organization that will be behind him. Bang, of course, you lived in the D.C. area a little bit. What do you think about the hire for Dan Quinn? Do you think they settled? And what do you think about Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick staying put? And have you heard from any of your D.C. friends about this new hiring?
They don't really like this shit. I can see that. They just was like, ho hum, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Like, we see what happened in his last game. But no, I don't think that they settled. And one of the reasons why I don't think they settled is because you just take probably the strongest assistant coach in your division from the team that is one of the leaders of the division. Like, you take Dan Quinn, and then Dan Quinn is probably going to take people from Dallas with him to your team. So it's like, okay, you gotta, and he knows your offense too. So, it does make Washington versus Dallas even more interesting, next year, especially with quite possibly having a better quarterback situation. We could say what we want to say about, Sam Howell and, all the stuff that happened with him. But I mean, hey, probably going to draft another quarterback, in Drake May, or if somehow they give us the Godfather deal and they move up one. So either way, and that defense is not a bad defense at all. They got people still on that defense. So as I had said on the show before, they got a decent running back room. They got some good wide receivers. They need to improve on the offensive line. They definitely need that help there because Sam Howell was getting his ass kicked, and that defense is pretty decent. So you bring Dan Quinn over there to coach that defense. He gets him a capable offensive coordinator, and I haven't seen any news. I've been busy, so I haven't seen any news, but don't know about what's going to happen with Eric Bieniemy. Does Eric Bieniemy say, does he go to Eric Bieniemy and keep him and say, hey, let's keep it?
That was a good nugget on McAfee today. Michael Lombardi was on there. He said that Bieniemy was never really considered for the Commanders job because of the way how the players felt about him. Remember when we had that little thing beginning of the season?
Yeah.
People like he's rough on the players, like you can do that shit in Kansas City, but you can't do that shit here. He said that had a big factor. So I don't know if he will stay with the staff or not. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, so I don't know, but they will need an offensive coordinator, and Sam Howell looked like a capable quarterback with Eric Bieniemy. So I don't know, but either way it go, you leave Dallas, you go there, you take some of those assistants, you know that offense, you know that defense, you know how to attack on both sides. Nah, man, I don't think he was, again, like y'all said, I don't think he was the first choice, but he wasn't a bad choice. Now, as far as Ben Johnson and Bobby Slowick, I think Bobby Slowick needed another year. He needs another year. He was a first-time offensive coordinator. I mean, even though it was Dan Cazelis, was a first-time offensive coordinator, with was that Tampa Bay, he was up there 13 years with the Seahawks organization. Maybe I get another year with CJ Stroud and we go out there and kill it. Same thing. Now with Ben Johnson is totally different. Ben Johnson is the head coach offense. He run that thing. Dan Campbell is a CEO type of coach. He lets his offensive coordinator run that side of the ball. He let his defensive coordinator run that side of the ball. So Ben is in a totally different situation because he really head coach offense and he can stay, another year with Detroit. Now it's dangerous to both. When you hear now. But both of those teams gonna be playing first place schedules. Got a potential to go down and mess up. Like the one name that I could bring up that I hope Ben Johnson don't become is Adam Gase.
Ooh, that's a name right there, Adam fucking Gase. He had a very high stock. I think it was after he left Chicago, because Jay Cutler had his best statistical year with Adam Gase. I think that's what it was.
It was with Denver.
He became the Jets. It was the Jets head coach.
He went Miami.
He was Miami.
He did become the Jets, but yeah, he did his thing with Denver. Then he did his thing with us, and then
he went to Miami.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. It's definitely slippery territory, but I definitely understand where both parties are coming from on that, man. Let's go to our next topic. Another coach. They got signed about a couple weeks ago, man, but he officially had his press conference this past Monday. Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, and he's getting everything together. Had a nice little presentation. Like I always say, SoFi is my favorite stadium in football, really, period. Not even just football. It's fucking amazing stadium. Like every stadium should be like that, in my personal opinion. And he went up there, said a lot of good words. Said that he was starstruck about being around Justin Herbert, and he mentioned Keenan Allen and Derwin James and everything they're building over there. My question to y'all is, what are the expectations for a Jim Harbaugh? Coming into this year, Jim Harbaugh, national champion, hasn't coached in the NFL in over 10 years at this point now. He's very successful in San Francisco, but this is also a tough situation. You got to take a guy who's very talented in Justin Herbert and get him into that elite territory. And also they're in cap hell, so it's very going to be hard for them to make a lot of moves, even though we all know the NFL cap is a myth and they can't find ways around it, but they have a new general manager out there, new everything. Like, for me, I think that the expectation should at least be playoffs. I think that, this team was mathematically in it to at least like around Thanksgiving. So I feel like the playoffs should at least be a thing that you should be aiming for. Not saying that you shouldn't aim for a division, you should aim for, but when you have Patrick Mahomes in your division, you're 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose that. Even if you have a great year, they're going to have a better year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not expecting the Chiefs to be as mediocre in the regular season next year as they were this year. So I think at least at the bottom level, bottom floor, that the expectation should be that this should be a fucking playoff team. You know what I'm saying? And things like that. And that you see an actual big jump in the offense. Because the Chargers have had one of the worst offenses in football the last 2 seasons. So you got to at least make the playoffs. In my personal opinion. Dante, what are you expecting? What do you think the national or overall expectations for Jim Harbaugh should be in this coming season?
Absolutely playoffs. Especially me as a nigga who has season tickets to sell. I would love to see them, reach that pinnacle again. But no, I think with Harbaugh, those expectations come because everything he's done. He has succeeded every step of the way. Everywhere he's been, success has followed him, and that's his pedigree. And that's why after he won a national championship at Michigan, everybody was saying, "Okay, this is the next step to get back to the league." And now, your little brother has a Super Bowl. Now you got to go get one. So, as far as Harbaugh, I think the expectations year one, even though we talk about this being an old team and they're gonna have to maneuver and do some things, but I think playoffs should be the expectation. They should be, and if you fall short of that, but you still put on a good showing year one, I don't think that's a failure.
Bang, what you think the expectation should be for the Chargers this season, Jim Harbaugh? We really gonna have to add like a fine jar in here because everybody been on mute today.
Oh, my bad. I'm just gonna start. Damn, my bad. No, man, I think Super Bowl. And I know somebody might look at me crazy, but you got to look at the quarterback that we have been projecting to being one of the better quarterbacks in the league, in a quarterback-driven league with a decent running back room, a wide receiver room that should improve. They had they do have a good offensive line. It's just multiple people were hurt on that offensive line. Now you got to figure some shit out on defense. It's a lot of money that's over there that you got to fix. But when you have somebody who has the track record as Jim Harbaugh in the NFL, I'm not saying they should win it. I'm saying that Jim Harbaugh is not going to come up in there with no less than an expectation of going to the Super Bowl because he don't go to the team that, hey, I've been saying since day one, fucking up the name and everything that he was going to the Chargers, San Diego or LA. He going to the Chargers. But when you look at offensively what they have, you can say that this is probably the best offensive team that he's had in the NFL, talent-wise. So if you get somebody like him to pull that together, I'm not saying that they will, but with a last place schedule too, oh no, I think you should, depending on what happened with this draft, I'll say this: they get Brock Bowers, or they get a wide receiver, another wide receiver, or Brock.
What pick they got? They're not before us. They're after us, right?
5th or 6th, I believe. They're 5th or 6th.
Oh,
6th,
okay.
I believe.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not. I want one of them niggas in Orange and Navy. We're gonna bring our guest in, man. We're going to bring our guest in and do a bit of NBA talk, man. We have got the homie Big Dave from CHGO in the room. Hold on, we're gonna bring him in now. There we go. Big Dave from CHGO, man. You can follow him at Ball Sports on Twitter. Hey, what's going on, bro?
Peace, fellas. What's going on? Everything smooth, man. How y'all feel?
What's good?
Doing pretty good, brother. Good to have you on, man, to talk. Good to have you back on, man, to talk some Chicago Bulls basketball, man. This has been a weird season, I would say, because I feel like there's been some improvements a little bit, but it's also kind of been same shit, different toilet. As of right now, as it stands, they're the 9th seed in the Eastern Conference, 23-26. They won a game the other night. I think it was against Charlotte, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was against Charlotte. Just before we get into like the obvious Zach LaVine talk that everybody's been talking about, what is your opinion on this season and how it's been going?
Oh man. First of all, I'm sad that y'all brought me on here like this because y'all were talking about stuff I wanted to talk about, which was Jim Harbaugh and football and shit like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely what I want to get. Now I gotta talk about the Bulls. Oh damn. All right. Right. I will say I'm one of the few that wants the Bulls to actually go to the playoffs or actually get to the postseason, play in playoffs. I want that because I like winning. I like going to the postseason. That's a fun thing for me. And also, I think it helps with the growth of your younger players like Kobe White, like Ayo Dosunmu, when you start putting that in their heads that this is the floor for this team, is that we make the postseason, I think it's a good thing more so than actually continuing to lose, continuing to tank, continuing to try to start over and hoping you can get a younger player that can get in here and do something for you. I'd rather just roll like that. I like the culture of actually winning. So I'm from that. Maybe I'm just old school with it like that, but that's just me. That's how I roll. So them trying to make the postseason is what I'm for, is what I'm about. How they've been doing it has definitely been, man, I don't even know what you call those things that go like this when you're in the hospital, like beep, 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 like up and down and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's been like that. It's been like that. Like you think they would get there, they'll get right to that game where they're one game or two games below 500, and they're playing a team like the Raptors they did last week, who don't have anybody out there, and the game is right there for you. You beating the Raptors at home for like 4 straight years. Like they ain't beat you at your house in I don't know how long. And then they don't have any of the players that they need. They traded them away and they're injured. And you're like, cool, let's go get this win. And they get their ass stomped. And you're like, damn, again. So that sets them back. And then, you know, you got to play these, of course, better teams, you know, in your own conference. And then, of course, the better teams in the West. And so it's just like they keep taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. And that's the kind of team you're going to have. That's the team that's going to hover around 500 is those kind of squads. So personally, it's been cool for me. It hasn't depressed me. It started off slow, you know, like October and November. They caught fire in December and kind of came back to earth in January. But just watching the growth of Kobe White, watching the growth of Ayo, who's been super consistent, probably the most consistent player the Bulls have outside of DeMar DeRozan all season long. Watching those guys actually grow, and Julian Phillips too, I throw him in there, and Dalen Terry just because I'm probably the only person who likes Dalen Terry. I just like watching him play, bro. And so watching those young guys get that opportunity to grow and get better has been cool for me. But it ain't been cool to watch Vooch just be ass. It ain't been cool, you know, to watch Drummond, who I call 60-40, because you know you don't know what you're gonna get. 60% of the time he's good, 40% of the time he's not, and sometimes it flips. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have no clue what you're getting. That ain't been fun. It's not been fun watching 3-point shooting just be trash. It's not been fun watching Billy Donovan also be okay. I'm not blaming everything on Billy Donovan, but he definitely, when your team is like this, everybody gets a part of the blame, in my opinion. So he gets some of that too. The front office not doing anything, you know, those kind of things. And Zach, of course, being hurt, who I'm sure we'll get into. That none of that has been fun. But watching the young guys and watching them try to, you know, build their culture has been the fun part for me.
Definitely, man. I also want I'm gonna get your opinion on some football stuff here too. We're gonna have you talk about some non-depressing shit. I'm definitely gonna get your opinion on what's going on in the NFL and when we get to that part in a minute. But I think to me, when you just said 60-40, that's something that kind of stands out to me because when I look at the Bulls, I want to I've told this story on your show and I've said this before. The Bulls are like my first love. Like the Bulls are like, you know, the woman who you fall in love with, you know, that's your baby mama. Like you didn't marry her, but that's your baby mom. Like, and y'all not together, but you still got love for her, even though she be tripping. You know what I'm saying? That's who the Bulls are for me. Like Michael Jordan, the 90s Bulls, is the reason I became a sports fan. So I can never give up on them. I gave up on the Chicago White Sox, and I don't plan on coming back. I don't. I've been in Los Angeles for 10 years. Go Dodgers, okay? And we Shohei Ohtani gang over here right now. So I can't do the Bulls like I do. The Bears are like the Bears are that woman now never quit. It don't matter how dirty they do me, I will always be there. That's who the Bears are. So with the Bulls right now, I'm trying to treat them like, and I use this comparison with Bang. Bang has kids, so you know he told me this is spot on. It's like when your kid is in the room, like you watching them, but you ain't really paying attention to what they really doing. That's me with the Bulls. Like,
okay,
all right.
Oh,
shit, put that remote down. You know, put that remote down. Like I might do that every now and then, but like, so this kind of I just been paying attention, but not paying attention. But one of the things that has like stand out to me was the player Kobe White. Kobe White played well last year, but I thought that was a contract year type thing. He got paid and he's been balling. And it's been consistent every night. Like I said, I'm not a big Dalen Terry guy, but I'm also glad he's finally getting minutes because if you draft a guy. And there's one thing we will have to say about the AKME era is that their draft picks haven't been on the floor. It's just that damn simple. So if you look at the good things about that and you see how young Kobe is and whatever. In your opinion, why don't the Bulls treat, just go the full rebuild route? We know that that's not something that rebuilds in the NBA alone. And not the Thunder been doing this for 5 years since they traded Paul George, and they finally starting to look good.
Yeah.
But why do you think that the Bulls won't commit to rebuilding?
Well, one, they don't want to. And two, I don't think they can. I don't think they're good at it.
Okay.
AK, when he walked in, told you exactly what he wanted to do. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to make the postseason. We want to go for championships. And he also says, I don't like drafting high. I can't stand drafting high. I like drafting in the lower rounds. So he told you right there from Jump Street, I'm not a dude that's, wants to be in the high, top 5, whatever picks, making these selections. I'd rather be in the teams getting it like that. That's evident with the pick of Patrick Williams at number 4. You know what I mean? Like, that's evident there. That was one of them, let me try to sneak in and grab something that, most people might not be looking at. Solid pick, but maybe a little bit too high for number 4. When guys like Tyrese Halliburton and all that, in hindsight, looking at it, you're like, damn. But that's just not how they're set up to be. They're set up to be more like the Miami Heat mentally. That's how they're trying to do. They're trying to do like Pat Riley. They're just trying to go to the playoffs every single year, no matter what. And then hope when they get to the playoffs, see what happens. Somebody gets hurt. Somebody gets injured. We start playing tough. We catch a run, and then we go on it and we do it that way. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And they feel like doing it that way will attract free agents to come here and want to, help them get over that hump. One, because you're trying to be a winning team. Two, because you're the Chicago Bulls and things like that. So it looked great when the first half of the season when Lonzo and everything was kicking. But then once that went down and you had to actually change and, make some maneuvers, now it's looking real insane. You know what I mean? It's like looking real crazy for them. So I don't want them to do something that they've already said they're not good at doing. Like, if you tell me, you know what I mean? If you tell me you can't cook, I'm not going to ask you to get in the kitchen and get me a 7-course meal going. You know what I mean? Like, they're not good at it. It's not what they want to do. Billy Donovan don't want to do that either. People try to leave him out of this too. He's a part of this as well. They come as a package. He don't want to start over either. That man was retired. That man was at home in Florida. They drove down there to get him, not to come retool and start over. They drove down there to get him, to bring him here to be the piece that could carry this team deep into the playoffs. So nobody in that front office has that mindset of, guys, we need to actually restart this team. Now, they might retool it. They might flip some players, you know what I mean, like a Zach or hopefully or DeMar. I've been trying to get them to trade Caruso for a year. But hopefully they can do those kind of things, to help, retool your team. So they'll do a retool, but they're not going to restart nothing, because Billy ain't going to start over, man. He'll go back home, to Florida and chill out. And AK is just not good at it. And Mark Eversley is just not good at it, because they keep telling you. So at some point in time, when they keep telling you they ain't good at something, we got to listen to them. Like, this ain't what they want to do. They telling you this is not what we want to do. So we can't just keep getting mad at them for doing exactly what they said they want to do. They're not good at it. So I'm okay with that. I just want them to be better at what they say they are good at. You understand what I mean? Like, you say you're good at this, then be better at that. That's what I need.
Yeah, definitely, bro. And we've mentioned it, like, they don't want to rebuild. That's not what they want to do. They claim they're not good at it. But even when we talk about retooling, we've been one of the least active teams in the trade market over the past few years. So my question to you is this: like, do you expect them to once again talk this talk, but stay put at the trade deadline? Or are we gonna actually see some movement?
And that's what's pissing everybody off, including me, is that kind of talk. When they continue to say, oh man, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to be active, we're going to try to get these guys in here and do these things. And they were in the beginning when they got Vooch. That was an aggressive move, to go do that. When they got Zoe signed at 501 of the trade, that's an aggressive move. Getting DeMar, and trading a first round pick and getting those are aggressive ass moves. And then they just stop, and then they just stop doing those things. Now, some of that might be ownership saying, bro, you right near this cap. We're not going over this. And you can't make these moves any further than this. Some of that is definitely money, for sure. No question about it. Yeah. But it at some point has to be about the basketball at some point in time, right? Like, some point in time, you got to bring in the right kind of players. Listen, man, it's been the kind of guys they've been bringing in have been guys you bring in who are like, okay, we're ready to win now kind of things. When you bring in an Andre Drummond and Who was the my guy, white guy who just retired, point guard that they brought in? I can't remember his name right now.
Dragic?
Play for Miami. Dragic, thank you.
Dragic,
when you bring in him and you bring in Dragic, you're like, okay, bet. We're gonna, make these moves because we're going to the playoffs. Those are playoff moves that you're like, we just need a little tooling right here and we're good. Okay, what about this 3-point shooting that you guys are bad at? No, we good. Just give me Dragic. Let's get some rebounds and we'll be fine. Okay, your 3-point shooting still stinks. You're still small. Come to the next season. Fine. Here's another all season to get it together. Okay, what you need? 3-point shooting. You still need it. Okay, let me go get Javon Carter. You know what I mean? And I hate going against the hometown. I despise saying anything bad about the hometown, bro. I hate it to my core. But I can't lie. Like that's the conflict. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the conflict. But you go get Javon Carter, who I like, who I've always liked since college, since he was with Rod Huggins. I've always liked him, man. But he's been a bulldog, and I've known him as bulldog dude for defense, and he can hit the 3-point shot. Like, he was one of the best from the corner in the league. He was one of the best in transition in the league. And now he barely shoots like 30-something%, man. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's put that Bulls jersey on and everything just zapped and disappeared. Maybe it's playing time. I don't know. But my point is, you still knew the problem was going to get you some 3-point shooting. You still knew that was the issue. Let me go get Torrey Craig, who's not known for that. And let me go get Javon Carter, who won't solve that. So you brought in another guard, and the team you already got like 4 or 5 guards. And so you still have no size. You still have no legit threat at 3-point line. And now you got a disgruntled Zach LaVine who wants to move on. So you didn't really address any of the problems that have been problems for the past few years. And that's where the frustration is at. And that's where it's getting confusing, as you just said, for Bulls fans. Like, bro, like, you keep telling them this stuff, like what you're going to do, and then you're just not doing it. So you're not doing these things that you say that this team needs. And you're like, well, just hold on, wait till the picks, and wait till everything settles. And then, no, we can't wait no more. This ain't a cake. Like, we ain't waiting for it to cool off the heat. You know what I mean? Like, bro, it's time to serve us, man. Like, serve us what you've been promising. And I'm not even asking for a lot. I'm just asking for something respectable. That's all we're talking about here. Something respectable.
Before we get the Bangs question, I just had one. So we talk about Zach LaVine real quick, because the Zach LaVine debate in the city is like, it's not to the level of Caleb and Justin, obviously, but it's on that same fucking boulevard where I feel like we're not having medium type of conversations. Either he's trash or he's better than what we think he is. For me, I like Zach. Do I love Zach? No. Now, I'll be very clear. I'm a big Jimmy Butler guy. I've been a Jimmy Butler guy since, like, I was very pissed off when we traded Jimmy Butler. I was at the motherfucking Lakers draft party in Long Beach, California, because everybody wanted Lonzo. Remember that draft like it was yesterday. And they traded, Jimmy. That ended up being Zach LaVine, Laurie Markkinen, and I don't know where the hell Chris Dunn is, but Chris Dunn was part of that deal too. And I was irate. I had to be talking. I had to be talked down. I was so fucking pissed off. But I think Zach, for what he's done in this time, has been good, but it hasn't been great. And now we're at the part right now, because you have him that contract, which I was not against. I was happy when he signed. If the Bulls weren't going to give it to him, somebody else was going to give him that money. But it's now starting to become like everybody knows who Zach LaVine is, and they don't want to give up prime access to get him, and the contract is hurting. In your opinion, like, what should the Bulls do about that situation? Because now it's kind of feeling like if they trade him, it's just going to be a salary dump. And as much as you might want to get rid of Zach, he's still too good of a player to just salary dump him. So what do you feel about, rumors saying that there's a good chance that he might actually stay put?
Oh, man. First of all, I was not a Jimmy Butler fan. Let me start. I was not a fan like that.
There was a lot of people. I was by myself for a long time. Yeah, man.
That wasn't my guy. I wasn't with him like that. So when he got traded, I was like, okay, right on. Like, all right. Now, not to say he couldn't play. I remember when he went to Miami, I was like, oh, man, he about to ball out down there. I thought that was
I survived the Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler Cold War in Chicago. I remember those days.
No, I feel you, bro. But yeah, man, like he just was never my guy like that. But I knew he was going to be good. I just knew that. I knew he was going to be good when he went to Miami. But outside of that, with Zach LaVine, man, I think as of right now, and I don't hate Zach. I'm probably in that boat with you. Like I don't hate Zach like that, but Zach is what I talked about when I talked about the young guys, how I don't want them to get used to losing. Because I think you see what that is with Zach. And Zach is used to losing, man. Like I was the one who came out and was with that stat a few years ago when I told everybody he had never won 4 games in a row in his NBA career.
Yeah.
So when that happened, I'm like, this is a dude who just knows that. You know what I mean? So that's your baseline, is I know what it feels like to lose. So I know how to react when things are going wrong, when things ain't cooking, when things are messed up. I know what bag to dip into, and it's this bag of shit that I'm so used to dipping into right here because I'm used to losing. So Zach has that mentality for me, and I don't like that at all. Mm-hmm. As far as him as a play, like he's good. Like I ain't saying he can't play. Like, I mean, come on, dude. This is a 50, 40, 80 guy. Like he can play. Like he know he can get down to 2-time All-Star. Like he can hoop. We all know this. He's a different kind of hooper. Like I know he's better with a point guard. I think we saw that when Lonzo was here. We know he's better with a point guard. We get that. What I think they should do and what I think is going to be their course of action is Zach is going to be here after the trade deadline. Because you can't just give this dude away. And honest, the league is like, we don't want him, you know, and I hate the argument when they try to say, well, we don't want him because he's a losing. Listen, this is strictly about money. This ain't about losing player.
All it is, yeah.
That's it. It ain't I ain't trying to hear that losing player shit at all. Because when Bridges in Charlotte is getting people who want him. All right. What Bridges know about winning? You know what I mean? Even in Charlotte, he know.
What should Bridges know about freedom? He should be in fucking jail.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Chain gang, brother. Like he should be there. But no, he might be in Phoenix. You know what I mean? Playing and hooping there. But he ain't got that Zach LaVine kind of contract. So it ain't about that. It's strictly about that money with Zach LaVine. So when it's about that, I don't think that should be a good enough reason to just give that kind of talent away. If you can make a trade for him, fine. I'm cool with it. Like if you send me Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, and that little other guard Mitchell they got, fine, make the trade. You know what I mean? Like get it in, do that, fine, make the trade. Take that loss that way. But I'm not just going to give him away when I know I can still do the same thing in the offseason because they're saying the Bulls might have to attach someone, you know, to trade Zach LaVine. They're going to have to do that in the offseason anyway if they're going to trade him. So just wait till the offseason, play him, you know, let him do his thing. I wrote an article about this, man, a while back saying that this was Zach's career was on the line when he came back from that first injury. Like this is his career that we're talking about, bro, because if he comes out and balls out, he can write his ticket. But if he doesn't, I don't know where he could end up. And obviously he wanted to end up in a place where it was winning going on. That's why he signs with Clutch. You know what I mean? It's why he's taking pictures with Clutch, wearing Clutch hoodies, sitting on the sideline. Thought it was all sweet and found out it wasn't at all. And I mean, not even by a little bit. So now he might end up in places like Detroit. You know what I mean? And other kind of places like that. So you don't know where he's going to end up. But I think I'll just end it by saying I think he'll still be here. I think that's the right move for the Bulls financially to do because you could still trade him in the offseason, especially after to attach somebody because he is still a talent and a talent that you still kind of need on your squad. A dude, you don't really have no three-point shooters. You know what I mean? You don't really have nobody that gets to the bucket like that outside of Kobe, who's showing you he can do that now, and a little bit of Io as well, too. But it's a little bit better coming from a dude his size, you know, with that kind of athleticism that can do it. His stuff is all mental. So it's mental and it's money with Zach LaVine. You know what I mean? So, and one of them is going to have to break, you know what I mean? For him to get what he wants. So, yeah, he'll be here, in my opinion. I think he'll be here.
It's messed up hearing he wanted all of the Clutch benefits and going to end up in Siberia. The way it's going on. Now it's just funny because you know when people get the Clutch, it's like
getting a Rockefeller chain.
No, I'm gonna even go better. You know, to keep it Chicago. It's like when niggas start getting treated hats. That Clutch hoodie is like when niggas was getting treated hats. Like you not getting all these benefits of this treated hat, nigga. You ain't getting no cat. You get smashed from Shorty over there.
You ain't getting in the Soho House, nigga.
You ain't getting the Soho House, nigga, because you got that treated hat on. Hey, my questions around the front office. You know, we grew up on Jerry Krause.
Yes, sir.
We end up getting Garpax.
Yes, sir.
Now instead of Acme is Acme. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like we in Looney Tunes era right now. You know, instead of a C, it's a K. So how are we ranking this front office, or better yet, comparing this front office from the prior front office of Garpax? Are they worse? Are we did we downgrade?
Okay, I would say, judging from their first 5 or their first 4 to Paxton's first 4, Paxton is better in his first 4 years because of the drafts that he made. It was the one place I thought Paxton was always good at, was in the draft. I thought they always made pretty good pick. Yeah, he could draft even the guys he got back in the Jimmy Butler trade, even though they thrive somewhere else. The point is they're thriving. You know, they're somewhere else. And you mentioned Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn is in Utah right now with Lowry, and he's starting. You know what I mean? He's starting.
I had no idea.
He starts.
He's ain't starting point guard.
Chris Dunn.
I thought my man was working at Trader Joe's or something. I had no idea he was in the league.
I thought Chris Dunn was a gym teacher or like a player personnel.
Yeah, me too.
And like Colorado, like the head of player development at Colorado.
Yeah, he's working with Prime or some shit.
Wow.
Back in Providence doing his thing. No, brother. He is there, and he signed a contract. And I believe Zach Lowe called him the best on-guard defender in the league right now.
Wow.
Like, seriously. Like, seriously, it's like that. It's like that, bro. It's like that.
Yeah, this is going to be like the I'm not going to hold you who we play for. That's exactly what this is.
Dude, he's in Utah, man, with Lowry. And that's the reason he's in Utah, because him and Lowry were cool here. So, you know, he gave him his opportunity. I think last year he signed a 10-day, then signed another one, then signed for the rest of the season. And now that's your starting point guard of the Utah Jazz, bro. It's Chris Dunn. So, yeah, he's still doing. And I'm just like, I thought it was a wrap. I thought it was Rap City for that man, dog. Like,
I apologize, Chris Dunn.
Yeah, I apologize, Chris Dunn. I definitely thought you were gonna ask me. So, do you want the other Trader Joe's wine? We got some better Trader Joe's wine over there. That's what I thought he was doing. But my apologies, Chris. I don't want no problems, dog.
Oh man, but their picks usually play, well. They draft well. That was one of the only things they kind of did. They didn't really get a coach right until Tibbs, and they hated him because he's Tibbs, and they couldn't really control that dude, nothing like that. So yeah, but as far as AK, for me, they started off right. They evaluated what they had, and they did the first thing that I wanted them to do was to get rid of the ball-headed menace they had coaching. And I was like, bet, get rid of that dude. Step one, day one, get him the hell out of here, please. Thank you. So I was like, man, they just bought 2 years for me just doing that. So they got rid of him. I thought the moves they made, I liked them because they were aggressive. Like I just mentioned, the Vooch, the Lonzo, the Caruso, the DeMar, bringing those guys in, drafting Io, I thought showed exactly what AK says, that I'm better at drafting in the later rounds because you drafting that dude in the second round, pick 38. And he's been awesome for you. And matter of fact, he played from day one. And Billy Donovan don't play rookies like that. But Ayo played from day one when he walked in the door. So that's showing you that they are solid at that level. And they got to first team in the East by the All-Star break. Now, we all know the flaws that they had. They still didn't have great three-point shooting. And they couldn't beat the bigger teams. So in that world, when Lonzo was still around, I was just thinking, okay, all season, you can make those moves of getting Andre Drummond, a Dragic, a Torrey Craig, all those things when you're stacking and your team is already built. It's like they still think their team is already built, and it's not. They have to, break some of this down. You know what I mean? Like Jenga or something. Like they got to break some of this down, dog, and not start over, but just retool it a little bit. But so I would have to give. I guess I would give Paxson the nod for the first 4 years, but I'm not going to say AK, sir. I'll probably give him a C minus if I had to give him a grade.
So I want to stop right there because I'm glad that you said how you just said that.
Okay.
What does Mark Eversley do? Like he's the one GM that I've.
We don't know what the fuck he does.
Don't know what he do. Like, you know, do he be at the 50-yard line just kicking it? You know what I'm saying? Do he have club nights? Like, what does Mark Eversley do? Because I don't know what he do.
Do you see that nigga at the WIT on the weekend? Like, what the
fuck? Like, I probably have more interactions with Mark Eversley than most people. Like, I don't know why, but I've run into him a couple times. Like, when we were at Summer League. Where? At Summer League, when I was at Summer League, the past two. Like, no, not just on the 9. You're saying that happy. It wasn't that, dog. Like, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. You know what I mean? Go get that off the wall for me. Yo, what up, Mark? It wasn't that.
You just ain't gonna scout nowhere, huh? You just ain't gonna scout nothing. You at Kenwood.
Yo, right, you know what I mean? Give me 10 on pump 6. Yo, Mark, what up, bro? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? It wasn't that. You know what I mean? Like, he was actually doing basketball shit. So he was there for that. And then we had him on our show when they had the Big Bulls. I can't remember what it's called, but it was like a Bulls Fest. Excuse me. It was Bulls Fest. They had it at the United Center over the summer. We had Mark Eversley on the show then. I mean, he's a nice dude. He's a great guy. But when you ask me what does he do, I would say he's the one that actually got DeMar DeRozan to come in here. That was one of the main things I thought he signed. Because he and DeMar were tight because of where he came from in Toronto. His usage was supposed to be the contacts that he was supposed to have because of his connections with Nike, because that's where he worked at. So he was supposed to have those contacts and connections there. We got Dragic. you know what I'm saying? So I would like to see that.
He need to be part of the team and get DeMar and his 3X flannel coats out of here so they can get a fur. And I love DeMar. You know what I love about DeMar? He West Coast all day. Like he West Coast to the core. Like that. I fuck with DeMar.
So basically, you saying there's Worldwide West and it's West Side West. And West Side West.
Over at Remus, when I was seeing him,
right. West Side West.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gonna catch my El Green.
Right.
Madison Street Mark. You know what I'm saying?
Madison Street Mark.
You know what I'm saying?
I like that right there.
You know what I'm
Madison.
We just got one last question for you, man, and we're gonna get you up out of here. I think it's mandatory to ask anybody in the Chicago media space as we get closer and closer to the big decision day. Where do you land on the Justin Fields, Caleb Williams discussion?
Oh, thank you for asking me that. I've been wanting to talk about this. I am for Caleb Williams. And I mean, I like Justin Fields a whole lot. How could you not? How could you not sit there and watch this dude and not think this dude can't play quarterback? This dude is good. All right. Justin Fields is really, really good. The two things I value most in my quarterbacks, like when I'm just talking about quarterbacks I love, number 2 is accuracy and number 1 is awareness. Now, Justin is really, he can be accurate. You know what I mean? You've seen some of them passes that he makes. I mean, you don't have a game throwing somebody 3 touchdowns like DJ Moore and not be accurate. Some of them corner passes in the end zone were outstanding that he was making. And some of those other passes, they just dropped because of the receivers that he had. Aquinius St. Brown and, guys like that. Like, they were just dropping passes. But Justin can throw the ball. He has always concerned me with his awareness. He's not, he hasn't shown me that there has been any growth in that department since he's gotten here. He doesn't feel pressure like that when he's in the pocket. Now, he can get outside of it for sure and make a play and things, but a lot of those times he don't really feel that pressure and he don't get rid of that ball enough. That's been the knock on him since Ohio State. Now, excuse me. It was easy for Ohio State, a little easier because of that offensive line he was behind. You could take your time all day long, you know what I mean, and throw it. And not to say Caleb didn't have that luxury either, because he definitely had that luxury too. But with his, like Justin, I see him just standing back there and it doesn't look comfortable yet. And I just haven't seen the growth in that awareness the way it looks comfortable. But the main thing, guys, why I want to move on is because the league does not protect Justin Fields. The league treats Justin Fields like they did Cam Newton. As soon as he takes a hit, they just like, okay, yeah, you big. They do him like they did Shaq. You big. All right, fine. You get up, you'll be fine. So when you have a whole season where you don't get any personal foul calls against you, but as a quarterback, and we saw the hits that he was taking, head bouncing off the turf, you know what I mean? That dude was getting smacked. and they call nothing, like you get 0 calls, they're not out to protect you. That bill is come due. That bill always comes due. All right. I don't care how superhuman you're built in the NFL, that bill, the injury bill, comes due. And so that's why I'm like, okay, I'd rather move on from a dude I know the NFL is going to protect. The NFL is going to protect the number 1 pick. And then we're always going to protect somebody they feel is a quote unquote generational guy. They're going to have something for him. With Justin, he's taking those licks, and it's scaring me that he'll take more and more and more here with the Bears, because that's the Bear thing to do is be tough and all that. Nah, man, bump that shit. Listen, I want my quarterback to get the ball out of his hands and preserve himself so we can continue playing these games and hopefully get down there and win. I think Justin would thrive in another place like Atlanta. If he went back home, I think he would thrive. You know what I mean? In places like that. But that's the reason I would like to move. I've never seen the Bears in this position where they're able or having the opportunity to draft somebody that can change your whole franchise at the quarterback position. I've never been in that position with them before, ever in my life. And I've been a Bears fan for a long ass time, bro. So being here, I don't want to miss out on that. I won't be mad if Justin goes somewhere and is balling, but I will be furious if Caleb Williams goes somewhere and is balling, dog. I'll be furious.
That's where I came to the conclusion, because everybody knows I'm a Justin guy. I've been a Justin guy since I watched them on QB1 on Netflix. But you just let it out right there. I still wake up in cold sweats knowing that we didn't get Patrick Mahomes, because what we heard in how Brian Pace actually evaluated him, he actually said the phrase that no human being has ever said in their life: if Mr. Trubisky isn't there, we'll take Patrick Mahomes. So that's what drove me apart. Like, I can live with turning on my TV next year and Justin got a light show going on in Vegas or Atlanta. I can live with that. What I can't live with is if we keep Justin, he keep doing the same bullshit he do, and I see, look at Caleb Williams, and I see Collins talking about, that's a guy right there, Caleb Williams. I don't want to hear that shit. I need to be happy for once in my goddamn life. Like that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Thanos at the end of Infinity War. He told little Gamora, you know, I'm sorry, little one. That's how I feel about Justin. I'm sorry. But this is a unique situation, and the game is the game. That's just pretty much where I'm at with it, man. That's real shit. Definitely, bro. Glad to talk to you, man. Always good to talk to you, man, about sports, you know, Bulls, everything, man. If anybody who are not in tune with Dave, definitely get into him with Dave, CHGO. Y'all do the pre and post game show for the Bulls. I don't watch a lot of Bulls games unless I'm just bored out of my fucking mind, but I do watch you and Matt Peck all the time on y'all show, man. So I definitely appreciate them. Let the people know where they get in tune with you, bro.
Man, appreciate you me on this. Like, we've had this discussion before, just how much respect I got for you and what you do. You know what I mean? Like, we already had that discussion, but I'll reiterate it again, brother, because it's true. But yes, you can find me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at Ball Sports, BAWL, Bow Sports. You got to say it like Avery Johnson saying it. You can follow me on Instagram at Big Dave CHGO. Yeah, and that's why those are the two places I'm mainly at, unless I'm writing something for allchgo.com. Or doing takeovers and watch parties, you know, for CHGO Bulls. We got a takeover on Tuesday when they play the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's sold out. We're going to the game. Gonna have a good time. We'll have some watch parties also coming up. But yeah, just stay tuned to, you know, my Instagram, my Twitter page, and I'll definitely keep everybody informed on that, man. But appreciate y'all brothers having me on, man. Thank you.
Definitely, man. That's definitely gonna be a good game to do a watch party too. My young boy Ant. I love watching Anthony Edwards, man. I'm looking forward to when they come to LA later this month. So that should be fun, though. But definitely good to talk to you, bro. Stay up, brother.
All right. Y'all brothers be peace, man.
Yes, sir.
Madison Ave Mark.
Madison Ave Mark is classic, bro. Classic, bro. West Side West.
I just hit the like button too. I just hit the like button too, Scott. I beat you.
Oh, God damn it. Hey, man, you don't leave my wife alone. We ain't gonna talk about that. Anyway, we're gonna stay with the NBA, man. Let's talk about Joel Embiid, man, the current reigning MVP of the NBA, man. He is just injured his, you know what I'm saying, his meniscus. Now, as Bulls fans, we are also certified knee doctors. So we do not know if this is a partially torn meniscus or if it's fully torn meniscus. If he's partially torn, that means he'll probably be back in about 4 to 6 weeks, kind of like Derrick Rose did in the 2013 season. But if he's fully torn, the MVP is cooked for the season. Now, the question isn't about the injury. Let's be real. This just is who Joel Embiid is. The question that's been going around in NBA this week is the 65 game rule, for those of you who are out the loop but don't know about the 65 game rule, you have to play at least 65 games to be eligible for all NBA awards and different incentives in your contract. And this is something that a lot of the players don't like, but the union did agree to. Tyrese Halliburton came back a little bit early because he was missing out on $40 million in his incentives, and he got re-hurt. And even now he's on a minutes restriction. We saw the same thing with Joel Embiid, and he got hurt at, when people say he was bullied into playing against the Warriors. This is my thing with the whole 65 game thing. Is it unfortunate that this has happened to Joel Embiid? Yes. But let's be fucking real. Even if there wasn't a 65 game rule, 9 times out of 10, this would have happened to Joel Embiid anyway. Joel Embiid is a injury prone player. It just is what it is. That's part of what makes him so frustrating sometimes, is that's just the kind of player he is. But this is just basically the players are just getting what they played around with the fucking load management, and this just is what it is. Even now, there's some games where we don't know who's playing. Yesterday was supposed to be a big marquee matchup between the Lakers and the Celtics, and LeBron and fucking Anthony Davis didn't play. They're hyping up that Knicks-Lakers game tomorrow, and we don't know if AD and LeBron are going to be in Madison Square Garden. So it's a night-to-night thing. So if it's something where you have a rare occasion where this happens, it's unfortunate, but I do feel like this is the rule that just needs to stay in place, because if not, people are just going to continue to take games off, and it's going to make the NBA product even more unbearable to watch than it is now. So I don't think the rule had anything to do with it. Nobody bullied this man into playing. You can't convince me that Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, or any of his fucking teammates were like, no, Nick, you got to play this regular season game against the fucking Warriors. No, this is something where he decided to play. Maybe he was listening to what people were saying on talking heads, us, other people, in the sports media saying he needs to play. He's ducking smoke from the MVP. I thought that for a little bit too, but it does seem like he actually is hurt, because he can only miss, I think it's 4 or 5 games before he's ineligible for being MVP. And that's going to open the door up for guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson to come in and take their MVP. So I don't feel like it's an unfortunate situation, but I feel like the rule should stay the way it is, man. Bane, what do you feel about the rule in general, and like how Embiid's injury is just kind of like bad timing?
I always thought it should have been amended for legit injury type of situation, because there's going to come a time that somebody has a legit injury and they're like play 64 games instead of 65. I like the rule though, because quite honestly, if you have somebody winning 50, like playing 50 games, winning MVP or all NBA anything, that should not happen anyway. So, 65 is a good number. I do think it needs to be amended for legit like injuries compared to like load management and stuff like that. Like, LeBron saying, LeBron and AD being out, you could tell it was load management, just done correctly.
100%.
Yeah, but no problem with the rule. I might move it up to 70 just because the injury thing too. But I'm glad to see there's a rule like that holds players accountable, pretty much. And you'll lose a lot of money too. Like, nobody will lose $40 million.
Yeah, I don't care how rich you are. $40 million, $40 million. Exactly. Dante, this is something me and you have debated, I feel like all last year when we were doing the Bald Online podcast. What's your thought on the rule and, everything that's been going on with Embiid and Tyrese Halliburton, kind of like the backlash that's happened?
The rule is just fine. The rule is fine, and they're being ridiculous. And before I say my main point in all of this, the player who won MVP with the fewest amount of games was Karl Malone. He played 49 games in 98. And he was hurt.
Only 49?
That's what I'm reading right here.
98, 99.
Yeah, 98, 99. The shortened season. It was a short season.
It was a shortened season. It was only 50 games.
There's only one season where an MVP played less than 65 games, and that was Bob Cousy. And that wasn't an 82 game season.
82 games.
So I say all that to say, if your ass don't play 65 games, you wouldn't win an MVP anyway. So the rule is just fine. And most importantly, you silly niggas agreed to the rule. So
right, exactly.
I'm sick and tired of motherfuckers complaining about shit. Well, when you had the opportunity to voice your opinion, go to your union rep and say, hey, bro, this is dumb. He didn't do that. So y'all let Grant Williams and them go in there and agree to this shit. And now you got to deal with the consequences. This is why if you do have a union rep, you should probably speak up, my nigga, if you don't like something. But they didn't do that. So here we are. So like once again, but y'all know, stop bitching, bro. Like you signed up for this. Like go play the games. You can pay $40 million a year. You don't want to play 65 games. Okay, bro. You got it. This is why basketball is what it is right now.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, when you sign for a deal, it's something that you knew was gonna happen. I don't want to hear that shit, man. That's just pretty much where I'm at with it, man. And I feel like they'll get over it. This is an extreme situation with a nigga that was gonna get hurt anyway. And I hate to say that because I love Embiid. I'm a big fan of Embiid, but that nigga was gonna get hurt any goddamn way. Let's just cut the shit. And I feel Tyrese Halliburton a little bit more than I do Embiid. Like I wouldn't want to miss out on $40 million either. But I do think there probably should be some tweaks. But Joe Dumars was on NBA Today with Malik Andrews, and that nigga was like, "Nah, there will be no tweaks." Like he said the same thing you said, Dante. They agreed to it. So this is how it's gonna be, and it's unfortunate.
You're like, it's really silly when you think about it. Like, and like, because I'm the same person who hates that whole $3 million slave shit. Like, don't play with me like that. Don't play in my face like that, my nigga. Like, you're a high paid athlete. Stop it.
But see, that's why I measure legit and load management, because Tyrese Halliburton and Joel Embiid, but Tyrese Halliburton is probably gonna lose $40 million off of being legit injured, and probably
that's why he's playing right now. He on a minutes restriction.
Right, yeah, that's why he playing right now. Hobble, mess around, just pray that he don't hurt himself, even more. But that's a lot of money for a player like Tyrese Halliburton, who should have been a Bull.
But time out. Once again, you niggas negotiate these contracts and have these stipulations in them. Yeah. So like, don't tie your money to, well, I got to play this amount of games and I got to do this. I got to trip 3 niggas over here and do that. No, bro. If you want guaranteed money, ask for that guaranteed money. Yep. So like, again, injuries are unfortunate. It's not supposed to happen. Hey, shout out to Alex. The Seahawks definitely just hired Leslie Frazier. But nah, bro. I'm not trying to hear this shit at all. No. It's assistant head coach.
Oh, okay.
Same thing like Marvin Harrison. Same thing like Marvin Lewis in LA. Well,
the Rooney Rule been going crazy this offseason. I ain't gonna lie. Shout out all the black men who got jobs. Shout out to the Rooney Rule working, man. Big shout out Black History Month, man. We're gonna move on to our last topic, and in the words of my co-host, content is king, because this rumor already got shot down by his representative, Mr. Rich Paul of Clutch Sports. Came out this morning with a press release, said, "We are not asking for a trade. LeBron James has no intention of being traded from the Los Angeles Lakers." And this came out the report yesterday. I don't know the reporter's name off the top of my head. I'm going to check the group chat. I do know that this dude worked
KTLA.
For KTLA. Here's David Pingalore. I think that's pronounced his name. KTLA basically said that the Lakers were going to trying to trade LeBron James. Now, there's two things with this. I'm gonna do my media personality here. There's two things with this. They said they're not asking for a trade. Doesn't mean the Lakers ain't trying to trade this nigga. That's a point. On top of that, he will be 40 in December. He has a player option, $50 million player option on top of that. Do you want to pay? And he doesn't have I don't think he has a no trade clause. I'm pretty sure he don't have a no trade. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers, if you're Rob Pelinka, if you're Jeannie Buss, now this takes a massive amount of balls here. But do you trade LeBron James? Because this obviously isn't going to work. I know I won't even say there's a lot of Laker fans. I'll give Laker fans credit this year. they're for the first time ever, I don't see any real unrealistic trades out there they think is gonna save their season. I think for the most part, Laker fans are just like, we need to fire this nigga Darvin Ham. I don't care who to replace him with, fire him, and let's just see what happens. This is a different situation compared to last year. Last year, they had around the same record around this time, but LeBron and AD weren't really playing any games. In fact, LeBron James missed like the entire last month of the season before their 2 playing games. This is different. LeBron and AD have missed a combined maybe 12 games. Like, I'll give it to AD. AD has been actually playing. When he's been playing, he's actually been dominant. And we all know LeBron. If LeBron doesn't, for the most part, LeBron doesn't low manage. LeBron will actually go out there and play. So I don't think there's any trade out there that is going to save this team from their inevitability of not making the West Conference Finals again. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're the Lakers, you got to ask yourself, do I want to pay $50 million for old man? Don't make the same mistake you made with Kobe Bryant, where you basically gave Kobe a legacy deal when you should have just been like, all right, Kobe, we'll holler at you. You know what I'm saying? So that's a question that I have for my esteemed panel. I just want to say I do not think they'll do this because I don't think any team has the balls to trade LeBron James, especially with it's just not a good look. And you're the Lakers, you don't want to have that stench on you. And then even what does a trade market for LeBron James even look like at this particular time in his career? So in the words of Content is King, I'm going to go to my brother Bane. What do you feel about this whole situation?
This is when I would not give a fuck, and LeBron James would be a member of another team before the trading deadline. Here's why. So you're going to break down your team. LeBron James is going to retire or leave, go somewhere else to play with his kid, and you ain't going to have no draft capital and no young players to help improve. I would trade LeBron James. If this was young LeBron James, of course, I'm not thinking about trading LeBron James. But this is 39, 40-year-old LeBron James. Because he's a bit older, I could stand trading him because some team is going to give up some capital to get LeBron James. The Lakers has no future once he retires. Let me say this one more time. The Lakers has no future when he retires. They have a funeral because that team has nothing once he's gone. So you want to set yourself up and get back on there? Bye, LeBron.
Said peace out. Dante, what you think?
Ain't no way in hell. Ain't no way in hell for several reasons. One, because if you are any other GM with a functioning brain, who the fuck are you going to trade for LeBron James? Because I'm not tearing my franchise up for a 40-year-old. I'm not giving up draft picks for this nigga. Like, don't get me wrong, as great as he is, what team that's, close to a championship would say, all right,
a wild New York Knicks appears.
The Knicks or the team that's dumb, the Chicago Bulls are dumb enough to do this. Like, this is a move they would make. They would ship Caruso, DeMar, damn near half the squad. Go over there. We're going to sell tickets and just bring LeBron James in this bitch, make him pose next to Mike's statue, and, do it like that. But no, it doesn't make sense. If you're the Lakers, you have to just stand pat and, try to make this work. But how do you build around a 40-year-old? You need, Alex, he said to AD's credit, he's played a lot this year. But when he doesn't play, the Lakers get blown out. Like, let's be crystal clear. Yeah. When AD don't play, they lose by a dub. Like
when they blew out the Celtics, Celtics need their ass beat for that shit.
Man, when I tell you that Lakers Hawks game was so fucking bad, I'm sitting there watching Austin Reeves go ISO every goddamn play, and they just getting cooked. Darvin Ham sitting there with his hands in his pockets. Like, no, bro. Like, trading LeBron does nothing for this team. Like, you just have a poorly constructed roster. And we try to, shoot Pelinka some bail. Oh, man, he made some moves. This is like the same moves they made in Cleveland when they brought all them random niggas in there and they got smoked. Like, it sounds good on paper, but, like, at the end of the day, you banking on a 40-year-old because AD's impact, especially just overall, AD's impact ain't what we say it is. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. It's far too often we see shit like this. So it's like, you're not going to sit here and tell me you're gonna pass the torch to this nigga. Because if you passing the torch to him, y'all gonna be a fucking 6 seed. Like, this is nothing spectacular about the Lakers at all.
Shit, they ain't even the 6 seed now.
Yeah, they're not even 6 seed. No, they tied for like 10th with the fucking Thunder. Like, not Thunder, but the Jazz. And this thing to me too, this is why when people, certain Laker fans, you being too hard on AD. No, we not. When they traded for AD, the point was for him to be dominant. They win championships, and LeBron can bow out gracefully, and this will be AD-10. Y'all should have known that wasn't going to work when the minute y'all got him, because AD wasn't doing this shit in motherfucking New Orleans. He was barely getting the Pelicans to the fucking playoff. Like, them niggas, you can't get an 8th seed, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? So that's just pretty much where it is with me. I'm with you, Dante. I see no way this happens, but it's a conversation. And like Brian Windhorst said yesterday, he has a player option. That's all we're going to say. So I really want to see how that's going. And honestly,
which is part of my, sometimes you just got to take the heat.
Yeah.
Because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And in this case, I cut my losses.
And I know the Lakers are trying to see where Bronny goes, but if Bronny keeps playing as well as he's been playing in his first USC, he ain't gonna be available to you niggas any damn way, because he's gonna be drafted higher than where your pick is gonna be. So that goes to also what you're saying, Bane, and maybe they just need to cut their losses. So I'm interested to see where this is gonna go, as the trade deadline is about 6 days away. So we know some conversations are gonna start to heat up, and we definitely gonna recap trade deadline next Friday on the show. But I want to get into my goofy mug of the week. This week, I think we're staying in like NBA territory here with where I want to go with this. My goofy mug of the week, I'm giving it to Mr. Adam Silver for who the fuck is trying to have a 2-day NBA draft. Like, that's just shit that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, we barely want to watch the regular NBA draft as it fucking is. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is some shit. I feel like he's trying to compete with the NFL, and I don't understand why he's trying to compete with the NFL, because you can't compete with the NFL. The NFL is in their own fucking league. You know what I'm saying? Literally. Like, we see the ratings, we see the engagements and things like that. There's nothing that he can do to, compete with these two. And no, like the draft is something where I feel like, unless it's like a lottery or something like that, people aren't really paying attention outside of the actual lottery picks. And this is something to me where it's a waste of time. And I feel like the NBA just got to stay in their fucking lane. The NBA got to stay in their fucking lane and realize the things that they do best and just double down on the things they do best. And I've said for years, them ducking the NFL smoke has been something that's been pussy to me. Why are you taking away NBA on TNT on Thursday? Because you're scared to battle, Thursday Night Football. You're scared of Jaguars Colts. Yeah, we know they're going to beat y'all on ratings wise regardless. It doesn't matter what fucking day you're doing the show. They're going to fucking beat you. So in this particular situation, man, I'm going to give my goofy mug of the week to Adam Silver. And just like, he needs to just stay in his lane. Like, nobody. Like, at least with the NFL, I've known from being in the draft the last couple of years that it's a religion. I mean, shit, we spent 40 minutes of this show to start talking about the NFL draft. And it's not just the main guys who are going to be, who are these highly touted prospects. The day two, you find a lot of day one starters in the day two draft. It's more of an event than the NBA. Nobody really is going to care about that, man. So I'm going to give my week to Adam Silver and to the rest of the NBA for trying to make this a 2-day event, man. I just don't understand that. We're going to wrap this episode up. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Big Dave from CHGO Ball Sports for joining us to talk about some Chicago Bulls basketball and a little bit of Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. We will be getting ready to hop on Patreon as we're going to record the local hour. We're going to be talking about everything going on with the Bears. Could they actually be staying in Chicago? Things like that. Could they actually be, thinking about what the actual Justin Fields trade value is? That's something that a lot of people are starting to talk about, starting to pick up steam a little bit more about where he's going to go. And then we're going to talk about the illustrious their guy theory, which is something that a lot of Bears fans, a lot of sports fans in general, don't want to accept on what the reality of a situation like that would be, man. So once again, y'all know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Barberchair Scott. Y'all know to follow the Barberchair Network at BarberchairNet. Y'all know to follow me on Twitter at Barber Just Scott, follow Bang at JR Bang, follow Dante at October's Own Tay. And you can subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. For all of the $5 hollers, $10 hollers, get all the exclusive content over there, man. So we will be back next week. We will be going on an hour early on Monday. We'll be going on at 4 p.m. Eastern time, as we'll be having a special guest. And we're going to be all Super Bowl content next week, getting ready for Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, man. So y'all enjoy y'all weekend, and we up out of here.